going to dinner. We're going to dinner. We're going to dinner.
So,
It's Thanksgiving.
happy Thanksgiving.
Gobble, gobble.
And we felt morally obligated to do a Thanksgiving special, but had negative ideas.
So, instead of doing a movie, we decided to choose 2 of our favorite episodes from Bob's Burger Thanksgiving specials.
And I know what you're thinking. Isn't your channel called Running to the 90s and Bob's Burger is a very contemporary show? Well, stop thinking so much.
So the first episode of Bob's Burger Thanksgiving specials that we wanted to talk about is Dawn of the Peckening. And honestly, it's my favorite Bob's Burger Thanksgiving special.
This is actually the first time I've ever watched it, and I have to say, okay choice, Hannah. I'm not disappointed in you.
I mean, I loved it. I thought it was hilarious.
I thought it was like a really good Thanksgiving special, especially considering how little it had to do with the actual event of Thanksgiving.
So the episode starts off ripping off a scene from Jurassic Park, where instead of getting a raptor killing someone, we get a turkey biting off someone's finger. Though we never see the finger missing, we do hear about it later in the episode.
My hand! My hand! Not your beautiful hand!
Then we cut to the Belcher family. Bob's a little cranky because all his family decided that they wanted to go to a fun run and to a half-price amusement park rather than have a family Thanksgiving dinner.
No, you're crying!
So Bob decides to stay home and get drunk on wine.
Really drunk on wine.
Let's get up drunk! I am dizzy! I'm really dizzy!
But we'll get back to him later.
Yeah, he's totally doing his own thing.
Linda goes to start her turkey run, where basically it's much like a bull run, except that turkeys are chasing them. And the kids get on the scrambler, which is basically a teacup ride that uses eggs.
When everyone gets ready to do the run and the turkeys are let out, it turns out there aren't just turkeys in that container.
No, Calvin, the turkeys are fine, and the chickens, and the ducks, and the geese.
Geese?
Because great quality control has been established.
And the fish orders couldn't understand why there was a shortage of turkeys.
I wonder why that could be.
But needless to say, they open the container, let out all the birds, and they go crazy because their pecking order was messed up.
As we later find out from Teddy, who apparently used to work on a turkey farm.
I worked on a turkey ranch one summer when I was 14. I learned a lot about life and a lot about turkey feces.
As the run begins, everyone thinks everything is all cool. But then, as we discovered, everything goes sour. And Linda ends up getting knocked out by a Cyclops turkey.
And Mickey, who was operating the scrambler, decided to flee when the turkeys got released. So the kids are all stuck on the scrambler still,
And have no way of getting off.
despite their best effort.
We're gonna die like we were born, spinning around in an egg!
Anyway, Linda's now on a mission to find her children along with the help of Teddy and Mickey to do just that.
They come up with a great idea that if they cover themselves in stuffed animals over from the game that Mickey's hiding at, there won't be anything, at least right away, for the turkeys, chickens, and ducks to peck at them with. Once they manage to get to the scrambler, Linda tells Mickey to turn the ride off. And then he realizes that he threw the keys into the water.
We can't let this technology fall into their hands.
Nope. It'll be the end of us all.
But fortunately, there's an emergency shut-off switch in the middle of the ride. And as soon as the adults step onto the ride, they immediately become incapacitated.
Seriously? We've been on this thing for a freaking hour and no one's barfed? She ain't even had a snack!
Well, Linda, with the help of Rudy, managed to stop the ride. Now, let's go back to Bob. Bob's been a little more than drunk at this point, and has decided, with the help of his turkey baster, that he's going to make Thanksgiving dinner no matter what. So, despite the chaos that's going around on the outside, he manages to make his way to the grocery store.
Completely unaware of anything that's currently going on in town.
Okay, just gotta grab every single thing for dinner. That's no problem.
And while that's happening, Teddy manages to save the day and get them on a ride called the Titular. That is basically just a boat car thing.
With giant hands that tickle you. Enough that you're gonna die.
That guy died.
Oh, right. But what a way to go.
Well, once they make it home, they read Bob's note and immediately go to the grocery store to try to save him.
We're going to get Daddy at the store.
Once they get there, Bob has already been cornered by the Cyclops turkey. At first he thought he was just hallucinating from being drunk, and then he realized,
Run! Run!
Just in time, Teddy and his family manage to get to the grocery store, and Linda has a brilliant idea.
she's gonna do exactly what Teddy said and fix the pecking order.
therefore becoming the queen of the turkeys.
And allowing all them to get away safely.
And this episode ends with them having Thanksgiving dinner with a turkey that nobody wants to eat.
Not before the Cyclops turkey finds his way to the fish odors.
I wish you would come to the wishbone. All right, I guess I win.
The next episode of Bob's Burger we'll be discussing is Diary of a Poopy Kid. So this one opens up with us finding out that it's Thanksgiving and Bob is trying out some new experimental recipes this year. Unfortunately, the person who would appreciate that the most, Gene Belcher, is a little under the weather.
Turns out he has the stomach flu.
Without barfing or juicy pooping, you can come out for Thanksgiving dinner, okay?
But as you know, that one's on the Belchers. They'll still make their whole Thanksgiving dinner and have Gail over for the evening.
Oh, I can't eat this. I'm lactose intolerant, Bob. You know a psychic told me that.
So while Gene is currently in quarantine in the bathroom, because Linda doesn't want to risk any of them getting the stomach flu because there's only one bathroom in the house and they couldn't all afford to have it.
So the night goes on. The appetizer portion is shown. Tina and Louise decide to pay a visit to Gene, to the door of course, and he smells the cheese.
Gene decides that if he can't enjoy the food, he wants to hate food.
No, make me hate food.
And so then he tells Tina and Louise to make a story up for him that'll cause him to hate food so much he won't be upset about eating the awesome Thanksgiving dinner.
First up is Louise, and she tells a Predator parody called The Breadator. So it follows a typical storyline of The Predator, except that everything made of bread. It's a carb forest, and the Predator is portrayed by Bob, and Gene is the titular hero. The story ends with Gene pushing the Predator into a fire, and him exploding, and Louise coming to save him.
Goodbye, gluten mutant. You're toast.
Next is Tina's turn, and she does a spoof on Air Force One. Instead, it's called Pear Force One. It starts out with Gene being delicate, talking to all the fruit and vegetables, and how they're going to be great for Thanksgiving, except for the nation of pears.
From Paris.
As Gene goes to get on his plane with his wife, who ends up being his mom, at his assistance.
That's a little...
I am sick and I get what I want.
His mom must be his wife. Bob is going to take him to therapy later.
Mhm.
The pears end up taking over his flight and trying to convince him that pears can be just as good for Thanksgiving as any other fruit.
Gene ends up being able to handily defeat all the pears by peeling off their skin, which is essentially their clothing, and using them as a parachute to safely land Pear Force One.
Dead safely.
While all this is going on, Bob ends up heading into the fridge, and he realizes that he left an old chicken parmesan in the fridge that he meant to throw out the night before. It'd been in there for like 2 weeks. The thing's totally disgusting and moldy. But then he realizes there's a bite taken out of it, and he realizes that Gene doesn't have the stomach flu.
He has food poisoning.
Bob ends up making his way over and letting Louise and Tina know that dinner is ready. And he told Gene that he's going to stay and tell him a story of his own.
Gene's not the only one who wants to hear the story, so everyone decides to gather around the bathroom door to also hear Bob's story, to help him out a little bit because he's not the greatest at telling stories.
We want to hear the story.
And we should probably help you tell it because you are, not that great with words or ideas.
His story is Parmageddon. Basically, a giant chunk of Parmesan is coming hurtling towards Earth, and the only people that would be able to stop this is Gene, who in this story is I forgot the exact terminology I used, but it's basically the equivalent of an oil rigger, but with marinara sauce. So he goes through, him and his crew go through astronaut training.
Tell me what you see.
Pierce Brosnan.
Me robbing a bank?
Oh, it's Pierce Brosnan.
It's, a shape. Lasagna. No, risotto. No, Pierce Brosnan.
They're ready.
And they fly up to the meteorite in order to drill into it so it won't hit the Earth.
But then it turns out the cheese on the chicken parmesan asteroid is way too crusty, and their drill won't make it through. Gene decides to tell everyone head back to Earth, and he stays behind to eat the chicken parmesan.
And he does just that. He eats the whole chicken parmesan right before it hits the planet. And because he had a jetpack, he landed back on Earth safely.
It turns out the chicken parmesan asteroid wasn't sitting in his stomach too well.
And then Gene Marinara diarrheaed and vomited all that chicken back up, and it rained hot chicken poop shooting stars all around the world.
And they were beautiful yet disgusting stars flying across the Earth's atmosphere.
And this is when Gene realized that Bob knows that he ate the chicken parmesan last night.
Gene ends up admitting that he did in fact eat the chicken parm, that Bob had specifically told him that it was moldy and gross and he could not eat it.
But this ended up being kind of a heartwarming moment.
You know, I was like you when I was a kid. That's how I got interested in cooking.
And Gene admitted that he had lied about having the stomach flu because he was embarrassed about eating the chicken parm because he knew it was bad.
Then the episode ends with Bob says, I'll have dinner with you when your stomach is ready to handle food.
And that is the end of Diary of a Poopy Kid.
Okay, so my final leaf is that I am grateful for...
So, Dana, what are you thankful for this Thanksgiving?
I'm just thankful for having good friends and family that I like to be around occasionally.
I'm thankful for gummy bears.
And sour airheads.
No, just gummy bears. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving and eat lots of turkey. Or tofu turkey.
Or tofurkey.
Subscribe!
Subscribe.